What you be doing this type of stuff at church?
I run our sound and audio, video. Yeah, it sucks. No, it doesn't suck. That's
What church you go to?
it's called Victory Missionary Baptist Church on
Okay.
the south side.
Well, it'd probably be a lot though. It'd
Like,
probably be a lot, like on Sundays.
it's not a one-man job. It's a multiple-person job, and right now it's just two of us, and I'm the only one that knows how to do everything. So
On me, so
Like-
it's you doing everything.
I missed last Sunday because I was in Houston with the Thunder, and they couldn't figure out how to go live, how to get stuff on the screen. So yeah, it was like trying to FaceTime them while, but it wasn't working. So yeah.
On me, that's right, crazy. All right, so I'm here with Daniel Bell, radio host, writer. How are you doing, bro?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, bro. So, first question, what did you grow up wanting to do? What did you see yourself doing, maybe like as a kid or something like that?
There's like a couple things or three things. When I was really little, I used to say I wanted to be a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor, and we would go to my aunt or great aunt's house when she would watch us, and I would like preach. I quickly grew out of that. Still very involved in church, but being a pastor just isn't my calling. I have a lot of other callings in church. Then for a little bit, I wanted to be a firefighter. I don't know why. I wanted to be a firefighter. I don't know why.
I've been through the phase, bro. I don't know. It's just dangerous, bro. So I couldn't do it.
And then I grew out of it, and then like when I got older, I learned that you had to shave your beard to be a firefighter, and I was like, yeah, hell no. Oops, sorry.
Nah, that's cool.
But then like the big thing that I wanted to be, and that I always thought I was gonna be, was a lawyer. I love to argue. I'd probably be I'd be a good lawyer no matter what kind of lawyer it'd be. But I would have been like some type of defense lawyer or something like that to try to help people. But I don't know why I got turned away from that. Like nobody was like, you shouldn't be a lawyer or anything. I just kind of drifted from that for a while. And then like a few years ago, I was like, I should probably go to school to be a lawyer or anything. But yeah, just never happened.
It's a lot of school, I guarantee you that. So
Yeah.
definitely gotta be sure that's what you want to do. So, I'm assuming you played sports growing up.
Yeah.
What sports did you play, bro?
Basketball, track, cross country, football. Very little bit of baseball. Very, very little.
Still, that's a good mix. So, which one was your favorite? I'm assuming basketball.
Surprisingly, no.
No.
Track was always like before I was good at anything. Before I knew I was smart, because I've always been smart. But before I knew like I was good at one singular.
I thought that face looked familiar. I was like,
What's up?
what's going on?
You know we were recording.
Oh, my bad.
Nah, you're good. You're good, bro.
Edit that one out or not. Hi.
I'm dead.
You want me to start over?
Nah, you good. You keep going.
But
If you want to start over.
yeah, but before I knew I was good at anything, running was the thing that like caught my eye. I was always faster than everybody else, and then we had those field days and like ours wasn't a normal field day. We actually had like a organized track meet where we went to and on a track at in elementary school for third, fourth, and fifth grade, and we ran against the other schools. So it was like a legit track meet, and we could do 3 events per year, and I got 8 blue ribbons, which is first, and 1 red ribbon, second in third grade. But yeah, track was always the one thing that I've always been in love with. And still to this day, it's still a huge passion of mine. And then basketball came along. I wish I would have stuck with running, but it's a long story.
Nah, I'm sure it is. It always is, bro. Because, it's ups and downs and everything. So, I mean, kudos to anybody that sticks with it that long because that's kind of like your day-to-day from sun up to sundown. Like, that's kind of what you do. So, I get that. So, what did you go to school for? You went to college, I'm assuming.
Yeah, industrial engineering and accounting. this is not what I'm doing now. But yeah, I was been a smart kid. Numbers have always been my thing. I thought I was gonna go to OSU to do business, and I got up to the campus, and they're like, "You're smart. You have a math mind. You're gonna be an engineer." And I was just like, oh, "Okay," just listening to what they told me, and kind of got stuck that way. But yeah, kind of just got tricked into being doing that. But I'm gonna say I didn't like it, but it's definitely not a passion.
Thought you was gonna be an engineer, bro. That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy work. So let's see. So kind of how did you navigate through school? Like when you graduated, like, I guess you were on the path to be an engineer. Is that when you kind of pivoted to media? Like when did that happen?
Yeah, after didn't like it, and then there had a period there where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Yeah, I was like doing some insurance. My mom has a business where she teaches people how to teach CPR and teaches classes that get their CPR certification, and I did that for a little bit, and then I kind of just like I've always loved writing. Writing has always been a passion since I was little, and I've always loved sports. So I was like, well, let me try and combine those two, and just stepped out on faith. Was asking and emailing a lot of companies like, hey, I want to do this. I don't have any experience, but I'll work hard. And everybody was saying no, which is obvious. But and I almost gave up with my boss right now at Black Sports Online. He sent out a tweet saying that he was looking for writers, and I just emailed him like, hey, I don't have a degree. I don't have any experience. Like, I don't have any teaching on this, no contacts, but this is something that I want to do. And he's like, okay, we'll put you on the trial. And the rest is history. And then timing, like this really taught me that timing is really everything. Because if I probably started with him a year later, I probably wouldn't be where I was. But it was the perfect timing to start with him at when it was. He was getting married, had a kid, and that just opened up opportunities for me. So yeah, it's been a huge blessing.
So how did the work kind of start? Because I mean, that first of all, that's crazy because that's kind of like a leap of faith. You just step out there, like kind of betting on yourself, and that could be a long process trying to find something and nothing's really coming about. But time definitely is everything. So when you start, how does it work? Does he kind of like put you through a training type thing, or does he just kind of tell you, hey, watch this, write about this?
It's actually kind of funny because I think it was 10 or so of us that started at the same time. And it was like, you're all on a trial. The trial, how long the trial lasts, it's up to you guys. It's like, I've made people be on trial for months. I've taken people off for trial in a month. He's like, I fired people in a few days. So it's all up to you. So he's like, I'm going to send you all this information. You got to write 3 articles, kind of like a prove it phase. 3 articles in a day. You pick whatever you want to write about, and you got to do it this way, and then I'll edit everything. And so he was going to email it, or he did email it, and I'm waiting all day for this email, checking my email like every 5 minutes, and I don't get anything. And then with like 3 hours to go, he sent. I finally was like, let me check my spam, and check the spam, and he was like, and the email was in my spam, so I had to kind of rush to get those 3 articles out. But luckily, I always I live by failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So I was prepared to write those articles. I just didn't know like the format he wanted me to write it in, but I knew what I wanted to write, and so I had those ready and got those out. And then a couple weeks later, I kind of like proved myself. I worked hard, and he was like, "Oh, you're pretty decent at this. We could take you off the trial." And then we talked more. I was like, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "Yeah, I want to write about basketball, cover basketball." And he was like, "Okay, well, this is probably the person you need to talk to with the Thunder, and tell them who you are, what you do." And so I emailed the Thunder. They brought me in. This was like goes back to timing. Like I emailed the Thunder. Sam Presti was having a press conference like a few days later. I was like, well, come to the press conference, and then went to the press conference. Then started covering the Thunder, and it's a lot of I had to have a lot of tunnel vision, and that was like the kind of sucky part of this, especially at the beginning, because with me, I had no experience, no connects, no contacts or anything. So I'm literally starting at the bottom and having to work my way up. And so I had to have like tunnel vision where I had a girlfriend at the time and kind of messed things up with that because I was focused on this for the most part and kind of not focused on that relationship. And I don't know if I would say that I would do things differently. I would do some things differently, but it's just the way of the business is like you gotta have a certain type of tunnel vision because you're spending so much time. Even if you come out of school and you have connects and you have the degree and you have some stuff where you're in college, you're covering your college team, you have some type of experience. Whereas you still have to have that tunnel vision to get to the heights of where you want to go. But without any of that, you have to have laser focus on that one goal. And it does suck. I'm not gonna lie and say it didn't suck, but you live and you learn. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a full on regret, but it does kind of suck. But it is what it is.
I mean, everything comes with sacrifice,
Yeah.
bro. I feel like, especially like in this business too, because it could be so fickle, bro. Like even when you do get that one job that you want, like it's never just secure.
Yep.
In the sense you're like so comfortable, like I don't have to worry about if I'm gonna be able to keep this job or not, just because how the economy may go.
Yeah, like I said, it was. I mean, every person that gets into this business, for the most part, probably started at the bottom. Where they were doing a lot of free work, a lot of work for very, very, very emphasis on very little pay, and so it just puts a strain on you mentally, financially, sometimes physically, because that stress puts a strain on your body, and it sucks. But that's the business, like you said, like you mentioned, it's a sacrifice, and I don't know if I can say that if I didn't sacrifice back then that I would be here right now where I am today, because this is my 6th year, and I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but my resume is pretty damn good. Like I have a really good resume, and I have covered everything in the NBA, literally every aspect of the NBA, from regular season game, playoff games, the finals, all-star games, summer league, combine, literally everything. In-season tournaments or NBA Cup now. I've done Final Fours, done some NFL stuff. And I have a radio show. And I don't think there's many people that I did all that within 5 years. And I don't think there's many people that can say in this business that they've done all that within 5 years, let alone in a whole career. And so, while it does suck looking back on it, because hindsight is 20/20, I don't know if I'm here doing all that. I've been on ESPN. Forgot to mention that. Got to mention that. But I don't know if I can say that all that would have happened if I didn't have that laser focus and if I didn't sacrifice so much in the beginning. Because for me, I kind of had to, because I had nothing, and I was kind of trying to prove myself. I'm still trying to prove myself, but it was even more then because I'm walking into a room with people that went to school for this, whereas I'm just a guy. So the sacrifices definitely suck, but they're kind of necessary.
Right, so I could imagine, 3 stories gives you, what kind of deadline was this? Was it one day or
So the 3 stories was just the one. That was just let's see if this person can do the job.
Okay.
After that, it was like 5 or 6 stories a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's
a lot.
Yeah, it was, and it wasn't like really any days off either. It was if I need you to write these stories, you can say no, but probably shouldn't say no,
Exactly.
kind of thing. And I'm not saying like he was like my boss. My boss has been phenomenal, great, the best boss I've ever had. So like he wasn't putting pressure on me to do it. It was just like, let's see if this person really wants to do this job. And so I was knocking out 5 or 6 stories a day for. I think I was probably doing that for like the first 3 years while also doing the basketball stuff. And so yeah, that was it was days where it was like, because I also was doing some Uber and stuff like that during to make some money. It was days where it was like I was in the middle of a trip and then he texts, "Hey, can you write this story?" And I had to end the trip, pull the car over, write the story on my phone, and then go about my business. And then he maybe sometimes he'd be like, "Well, fix this," and I'm like, "Dang, I can't accept this trip." And so it was a little hectic. There were some date nights where we were in the movies and I'm pulling out my phone to write a story, or at dinner and having to write a story. But yeah, it was a little stressful, a little hectic, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess it kind of come with the territory, bro. So, what is it that you enjoy about writing the most? I mean, of course, you're doing something that you love. You get to write about something that you enjoy watching, but what is it about it that you like to do? Is it just like your certain style of how you do it, or just, being able to express yourself in that form?
It's probably a little bit of expressing myself, but then when it's about a game, I like to be somebody to explain what happened throughout the game, not just say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 32.6 rebounds, 7 assists, something like that. That's just anybody can watch the game and tell you, oh yeah, Shai had this. That's easy, and no disrespect to anybody that does that, because that's definitely needed for, especially going back. Like if you trying to see is this the first time Shai had a 50-point game or something like that so that's needed. But for me, I like telling the story of the game in a sense of like, this is what happened throughout the game. This is why they won or lost. And then when it comes to doing a feature story on somebody or something, I like telling the story. Like, who is my first feature story was Aaron Wiggins for the Thunder. It's like, who is Aaron Wiggins? Like, we don't know who Aaron Wiggins. This was a couple years ago. Like, we don't know who Aaron Wiggins is. We kind of know who Shai. We still don't know who Shai is, but we kind of know who Shai is. But we don't know who the guys at the time he was at the end of the bench, still spending some time in the G League. So we don't know who this guy is. So telling his story is what I like to do. I did a story on Jalen Williams, J-Dub, and his love for Kobe, and after he had passed. So just stuff like that and that helped me because I'm a Kobe guy, big Kobe fan. I hadn't been able to write about Kobe until that point because I just didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to express myself, and that gave me a way by telling his story and his love for Kobe. That gave me a way to express my love for Kobe also through the words. So it's kind of a little bit of expressing myself and then telling the story of whatever it is or whoever it is.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. So what have been your favorite experiences so far? Because I'm sure, the things that you've been able to do have grown over the course of you doing it. But, it sounds like you've been able to do some really fun things here lately.
So a lot of firsts, like the first time I went to an All-Star game is exciting because I grew up watching this stuff and just being there for the first time was it's just surreal. The NBA 75 was really cool because you have LeBron, D-Wade talking to each other 10 feet away from you. Then 15 feet in another direction is Magic Johnson, Jordan, and then you have Kareem, Oscar Robertson talking just everywhere you turn, there was somebody that historic that you're talking to somebody legendary that they're just talking, and you're like trying to just focus, or I was trying to just like, is this real? Like, is this really happening? The first time I covered the finals, that was like surreal in a moment, in a sense where that was kind of the first time a question of mine just like went crazy, because it was the most viral question or the most viral moment from the finals where Clay in 2021, where Clay was talking about the Grizzlies and calling them bums and everything. I asked the question, and like hearing my voice on NBA TV or ESPN is like, dang, that's like, is that that's me. I go to the Final Four covering Duke and North Carolina. I'm a Duke fan, but then also just covering a historic rivalry like that at one of a huge stage in the Final Four was just, and then the game being as good as it was just made it so much better. Let's see what else. First time I was on the radio, that was cool. Just hearing myself, it's like, yeah, that's me. The first time I was on TV with Fox 25 here, that was cool. And then, I mean, ESPN, being in an ESPN documentary is probably that's probably the coolest thing I feel like I've done, because it's not like a podcast, because I've done plenty of podcasts, which is, yes, a podcast is forever. It could get deleted, but it could be on YouTube forever. But an ESPN documentary was kind of surreal, because it's ESPN. That's the pinnacle of sports media. And then it's not just the ESPN documentary where it was on ESPN2 or ESPN News or ESPN Plus. It was on actual ESPN at 7:00, and I knew I was gonna be in it, but I didn't know how much. Like, I didn't know. So I didn't tell anybody, because it's like, well, we talked in the documentary where we were filming. We talked for like 2 hours. So I was like, hopefully I said something to where they're gonna use me in one of these episodes. And so I just didn't know if it was gonna be like a little piece of me in there. But they used me pretty often in the documentary, and it was it's a Thunder preseason game when it airs, which is, that kind of sucked because the Thunder were on that episode where they were airing. And so I'm sitting in my seat, and I'm not even paying attention to the game. One, because it's preseason, and two, I'm trying to see where I'm at. And like, I see my face on ESPN, I just start crying. Like, just start shedding tears. I'm like just so happy, because again, like that's the pinnacle, and for them to use me just like felt such a overwhelming sense of like joy and pride, because I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but it just kind of shows like that I have worked very hard to get to this point, and sometimes it may not show, but this was one of the times where it did show, like, this hard work is paying off. So just a few of the moments. I've had a lot of cool moments, and I tell myself that I never want to get to the point where doing stuff like this is not cool. Like, I don't want to get to, like, yeah, I just got to do it. It is what it is. It's a job. Like, that's just a job. I don't want to get to that point. I go to the finals again if I'm blessed to go to the finals again, or the All-Star game or whatever. I want to have that. It won't be the same as that first time, but I still want to have that feeling of, like, this is really cool. I get to talk to these players. I get to meet these people who I've watched and read my whole life. I get to talk to them, put their numbers in my phone, and go to them for advice. Like, I never want to get to that point to where it's like, yeah, it is what it is. But so, yeah, I've been very blessed the last few years.
But that's a lot of stuff going on. Like, that's the radio going on. You said the documentary, and then you've done so much other stuff. Like, how do those doors continue to open from where you first started? Just kind of,
again, blessed. I cannot emphasize how blessed I am. like you think about it, I shouldn't be in any of those doors, but I not trying to tell anybody to believe in God or anything. I do, so I'm going to just continue to talk about how blessed I am. So that's number one. Number two is I'm not ashamed to say I work my butt off. Like I am one of, if not the hardest worker that anybody will meet. Not that much sleep, but I do work my butt off. And like I said earlier, I live by failure to prepare is preparing to fail. I feel like I'm always kind of prepared for the next opportunity when it comes. I'm not saying I would be the best at it. I'm not the best at anything. I'm working towards being the best, but I want to prepare. I want to make sure I'm prepared for whatever opportunity comes. And I'm somebody that if you give me an inch, I am 1,000% taking a mile. Like I'm not gonna just go through the motions of anything. So when I started at the radio, it was come in, learn the board. Well, I came in every single day for a while to the point to where it was like, we can't keep having this guy come in and work for free. And I was like, well, pay me. And and that's what it is I with the TV thing, it's being in the right spot at the right times, because my seat was next to the guy who does the show. Shout out to Rob Nice. And we just got to talking, and he was like, yeah, put you on TV. And I was like, oh, and then I thought he was just talking. But I'm not somebody that you tell stuff like that. Anything, if you say you're going to do something, I'm going to follow up. And he's like, hey, you said you're going to do this. Whether you meant it or not, you said it. So let's see if you really about it. And people have really been men of their words and women of their words. And I see everything as an opportunity, or try to find the opportunity in everything where you're going to these all-star games. There's a lot of knowledge there from people who have done the job and been in the positions that I've been in some way. And just saying, hey, I'm a fan, have any advice or anything? And those conversations turn into long relationships. Like David Aldridge, I was just trying to meet David Aldridge and say, hey, I've been following you since I was a kid, big fan. That turned into a 45-minute conversation of him giving me advice and speaking life into me and everything. Mark Spears, met him for the first time. He was busy when I met him, and he was like, come find me tonight, we'll have drinks. And I was like, oh, okay, that's he didn't have to do this. Chris Haynes was another one. The first time I met him, he gave me some advice, but it was like we had already knew each other for years. It was, how you doing, fam? Like it made me feel very, very comfortable. And so like, it's being blessed, seeing everything as an opportunity, working my butt off. Like it's not an accident why I'm here. I'm in these positions because I set myself up to be in these positions. I don't joke around. I'm not just somebody that's be in the building and say, yeah, I'm just happy to be. I'm just happy to cover Thunder games, go to games for free, eat for free. That's not me. That could be, in no disrespect to people who are like that, because that's what works for them. But that's not what works for me. I want to always add to whatever I'm doing, and I've been very, very fortunate to meet people who have been able to put me in some very good situations.
So would you say your journey to this destination you're at right now has kind of made you better at doing the job, or is it just some things that you learned about yourself, like in the process?
Yeah, because everything's a learning experience. Like whether I can feel like I'm asking the right question or writing the perfect article, but then somebody more experienced or reading like, hey, maybe think about doing it this way, or maybe think about asking a question this way. So yeah, every day is a learning experience. Like every single day, Like, no, but there's not a single person that's perfect. I read an article today about who from a guy who's a Hall of Famer, and I was like, yeah, this probably would have worked. And I'm not saying that I'm better than him. He's heads and tails higher than me. It's just that I see like seeing things from different perspectives. Like, yeah, maybe do it. Probably should have did it this way or worded it this way because this is gonna come off a little messed up. So it like I said, every day is a learning experience. So you can't go into any situation you like. I know all of this, and this is the 100% fact to do this job or to write this article or whatever. Ask this question because you will get humbled. And I always look back to my first or second year, where they're Thunder in the Bubble, and I asked Chris Paul a question, and he kind of raised his voice a little at me. He got a little annoyed by my question, which was, again, I felt like it was valid. To this day, I feel like it was a valid question, but from his point of view, I can see where he was annoyed, and then he explained after raising his voice. He explained in the answer why it was like a little bit of annoyance to him, which I didn't know, and that just made me better because I was like, oh, well, I need to start paying attention more to those little bitty things in games that I did not catch that played out throughout the whole year, and I just didn't catch it, and that was something that was second nature to him. So yeah, and it was after a loss. So
What was the question?
So the Thunder, they were down 2. The Rockets got a technical. It was Game 7. Gallinari shot the free throw. He missed it. Everybody was wondering why Gallinari shot the free throw. I was trying to ask the coach. Couldn't get the question into the coach. So I asked Chris Paul. Chris Paul he's the leader on the team, he's the best player on the team, and he had the better free throw percentage. So I'm like, what went into deciding that Gallinari shot the free throw? And because he missed it. It was an important free throw. And he did not like the question. And he said that if you hadn't been paying attention, he's been shooting our technical free throws all year. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I haven't been paying attention. So that just made me better. At the time, I didn't really appreciate how he answered the question. But like I said, I get it because it's something that's second nature to him. Like, he knows. It's like, duh. Like, pay attention to the little, and especially a guy like Chris Paul who he's seen everything and pays attention to every single detail of the game on and off the floor. So I can see how it annoyed him. But for me, I was like, you ain't gotta answer the question like that. You just easy. But like I said, it definitely made me a better person, or not a better reporter, because now I'm paying attention to all those little small details, and I'm doing a great job of catching all the little small things that happen on and off the floor.
So let's see. So yeah, that's a great point of just how to kind of be better and how to improve every day. Because like you mentioned, I mean, it's a day by day kind of working and improvement. But what else would you say kind of has helped you do your job? Because you write and you do radio, so you're on air as well.
I'd say being humble about criticism and not taking any criticism as an insult or as an attack on me. Because there's a lot of people that you say, hey, well, you probably should have did this way, or don't do that this way. And it's like, why are you telling me how to do the job or whatever? But I see everything as them trying to make me better, even if that's not what they're trying to do. If somebody has a criticism, I'll think about it. And it also depends on who it comes from. Like, listeners have a criticism. Sometimes I won't care because I'm like, okay, these guys are they're just talking. But bosses have a criticism. It's easy to take that as an attack on how you're doing the job instead of them just trying to make you better. And I see it as, you want to talk to me about how I'm doing the job, and you're just trying to make me better. That's fine. Or somebody saying, why you ask me why I ask questions this way, or maybe I shouldn't ask questions this way or something like that. It's that one's the hardest because I'm like, dang, I feel like I got ask good questions, but I'm still also mindful of like, well, maybe I do need to ask. Maybe I'll get a better response from the player or a coach if I ask the question in a different way or word it a different way, if I leave out this word that I probably should have left out. So I think being humble about every single thing and being humble about being able to take criticism goes a long way for anybody.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's a hard thing to take though, especially when you get to a certain point, or if it's just from different people. But I guess everybody kind of sees something different, whether they're like a professional or not. So I think that's probably an important thing for anybody.
Yeah, and
probably any career.
And I mean, like, I'm getting the criticism from people that went to school and got their degrees in this. So I'm like, so I take it and it's like, okay. And then some people are higher positions than I am, or more notable positions, and some people are lower. And you can't, I don't think you can like dismiss anybody's criticism because it comes from, for the most part, it comes from a place of knowledge and saying, this is how I did it. It worked for me. If you want it to work for you, maybe do it your way. But I'm going to give you some advice. Like, it's like one of the best pieces of advice I got was from Cliff Brunt, who's from the AP. He's an absolute legend. My first year, he was like, why aren't you asking questions? And I was like, well, my questions always get taken. And he was in a stern way. He was like, that shouldn't stop you. Like, why are you letting that stop you from asking questions? Like, you're just as valuable as anybody else in the room. And then he was like, also, have 6 or 7 questions in the clip, because when you're just starting, you're at the bottom of the total bowl for getting questions. And so you have, obviously, your questions, you're probably trying to ask what everybody else is trying to ask. So, one, come up with unique questions that you feel like nobody else is going to ask. And then also have 6 or 7 questions in the clip, because in that case, question 1 through 4 might get taken, but 5 through 7, you still got them, and now you're prepared. So, like, it's just, I've gotten a lot of advice from a lot of really good people that have helped me do the job. And if I was arrogant about it, I wouldn't have been able to survive. And Jerry, the first time I did radio with him, it's funny because a girl who used to do radio, she's like, well, how'd he do? And he was like, oh, he sucked. He was like, he was not good. And she started laughing. He was like, what are you laughing at? He was better than you your first time. And so it's just like, I can take you telling me I suck if you're coming from a place of trying to help me get better. If you're just saying I suck, just say I suck. I'm not gonna listen to it. But Jerry told me I sucked, and then he helped me get better, and by helping me, he talked to me on how to talk about radio or talk on the radio, and then he put me on the radio more. So taking that criticism, excuse me.
There you go, bro.
Taking that criticism, little. I was like, dang at the time, but like I said, if you're telling me something from a point where you're just trying to make me better, I have no problem with it. If you say I suck, and that's kind of the sports aspect of like where, like I saw it as being a coach. I was always coached hard, got yelled at all the time, but the coaches aren't yelling at you just to yell at you. Mm-hmm. Yelling at you, trying to make you better and trying to make the team better. And that's what I saw it as when Jerry was saying, "You suck." And I don't feel like I sucked, but he did. He's been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and I took that and was like, okay, well, how do I get better? And instead of, oh well, screw you, I'm not ever going on your station again. I'm just going to go to another station. It was just, well, you gave me an opportunity to get on the radio. You said I suck. Well, let's let's not suck for the next time.
Yeah, for sure. I guess since you do some of this work in different avenues, how much do you kind of value loyalty in work? Because I imagine this is the only place you've done radio, and of course where you're writing now. I mean, the way all of that happened, and you've still been with them. You know, how much have you valued that? You know, being 6 years in now.
Loyalty is hard because life happens. There are days where I don't want to come to the radio and want to do something else, or there are days where I don't want to go to, or times where, for BSO, Thunder were in the playoffs last season. They had they had a game in Dallas, and the NBA Combine was at the same time. So to drive to Dallas, cover the game on Saturday, fly to the NBA Combine on Sunday, fly back to the Thunder game on Monday, and then fly back to Chicago for the more Combine stuff, and then fly back to Dallas, and then drive to OKC for another Thunder game in the playoffs. So I was like, I don't want to do this because this is a lot on the body. I'm very tired. It was like, I think I got 6 hours of total sleep, and so times where it's like, yeah, I don't want to do this, but I see how especially my boss at BSO, see how he's been very integral and very valuable to my life. Yeah, I don't want to do that to him. I don't want to leave him high and dry in this position. So it loyalty sometimes does, and I don't want to say it sucks, but it sometimes gets tricky because there are times where I could be doing something else or I could be sleeping, but that loyalty keeps me from doing that. And then them being loyal to me, I mean, I'm the best thing that. No, I was kidding. No, but I feel like it's just them being loyal to me is just a testament to my hard work, and I show them that I'm somebody that they should be loyal to. I'm not just somebody that's gonna go with now. If everybody knows, if a bigger opportunity comes, you got to take it. You got to put yourself in a better position. Yeah, and they would do the same thing. So they know that. But while we're together, I feel like me with BSO and me with the franchise has been a good team.
No, for sure. All right, so what do you see opening up in the future? What do you kind of aspire to do? Since you've been in for 6 years now, you kind of know what to expect in some ways, but now you just kind of know more so of the landscape, what you might really want to do. Because you start and you think, hey, I want to do this, but you learn how things actually work, and you're like, this might be a little better. So what do you see yourself doing, in the future?
That's tough because, again, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm good at everything. I feel like I'm a decent writer. I feel like I'm good on the radio. I feel like I'm good on TV. So I don't, and the work shows that. My resume shows that that I am. So it's, again, but not to toot my own horn. And I'm somebody that believes that you don't have to diminish your light for somebody else. I can talk positive about myself and not be cocky or arrogant. I'm just very proud of how hard I've worked and me getting to this point. And I know it's not like I talk about it all the time or anything. I'm not leading conversation with, hey, I'm Daniel Bell, I was on ESPN. No. I actually don't even like talking about myself when I'm talking to people. If it comes up, it comes up. But I will give myself my props. But so I say it to say that I'm open to doing whatever. If it's TV, that's kind of where my focus is a little bit right now, is because I really love doing TV. But those jobs are probably the hardest to get. If it's a writing job, then then I do that. If it's a radio job, I'll do that. Radio, I won't say radio is at the bottom, but with radio, you don't get the I don't get to create the relationships with the players as much as I do with writing and TV. So I'd probably whatever comes. I'll just be happy with whatever. But I will say that I've given myself plenty of options for whatever opportunity comes. I have the track record to show that I can do it. So if you're watching, call me.
All right, I think that's pretty good, bro. To be honest. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was